Lord of the Mysteries has a power system that looks insanely complex at first glance, but trust me, it is not nearly as complicated as it seems. It's actually pretty straightforward once you get into it, simple in design, but incredibly deep in execution. Now this chart behind me that you guys have been looking at, well, I made this over 2 years ago, and even back then it was only like halfway done. And at the time we were still about 1,000 chapters away from the end of book 2, so now it probably covers like a third of the entire system. And before you guys ask, no, I am absolutely not going back to finish it. That ship has sailed. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to break down the LOTM power system in a way that avoids spoilers for any major plot points or big plot twists. So there will be nothing that ruins your experience. Everything I explain here is completely safe. Whether you're planning to watch the donghua, read the novel, or check out the manhua, your enjoyment of Lord of the Mysteries is intact. I've got you covered. Okay, so now let's actually get to the video. At the core of Lord of the Mysteries power system lies something called a pathway, also known as the Path of Divine. Each pathway is essentially a progression system, a mystical ladder of power made up of 9 tiers known as sequences. When someone consumes a potion associated with a specific sequence, they become what's known as a Beyonder, which basically just means someone with supernatural powers, akin to mages or cultivators in other series. Beyonders unlock supernatural abilities that grow more powerful and intricate as they advance. The journey typically begins at sequence 9, the weakest, and climbs upwards through the increasingly rare and potent levels, culminating in sequence 2 and 1, where a Beyonder becomes an angel-level being. There are 22 standard pathways, each entirely distinct. One might govern prophecy and destiny, others might control storms, summon the dead, manipulate shadows, or bend space itself. Some pathways emphasize knowledge and rituals, while others transform their users into horrifying monsters. Crucially, each pathway grants authority over a specific domain of reality, and because of this diversity, Beyonders from different pathways can vary wildly in ability stats and roles. For example, let's look at 2 starting points, Seer and Hunter. These are both sequence 9, the first step of becoming a Beyonder, but they're totally different in how they work. Seer, which Klein begins with, centers on the mind and supernatural perception. Seers gain enhanced memory, spiritual senses, and spirit vision to see ghosts, emotions, and magical energy. They're skilled in divination, using rituals to uncover hidden truths, while physically normal, they excel at sensing danger and the unseen. Now Hunter is the complete opposite. It is the action movie pathway. As soon as someone becomes a hunter, they get inhuman strength, speed, and reflexes. Like we're talking about punches that can create sonic booms. And on top of that, their natural senses go into overdrive. They can track people by smell, see invisible footprints, and hear whispers from an absurd distance, like some kind of supernatural tracker. And all of this is just scratching the surface. Every pathway has its own unique flavor and function, even right from sequence 9. These early stages, known as the low sequences, specifically sequence 9 and 8, mark the beginning of a Beyonder's transformation. While they have started to surpass human limitations, their abilities are still grounded compared to what comes later. Powers at this level are usually focused and practical, acting as a foundation for more dramatic and reality-defining abilities unlocked in higher sequences. Sequences 7 to 5 are known as the mid-sequences, a critical turning point where every pathway experiences a qualitative leap in power, granting Beyonders a vast and often terrifying range of abilities. At this stage, some can unleash devastating gravitational waves capable of shattering ships and flattening docks. Others gain gruesome abilities to consume a person's flesh and permanently steal their abilities, leaving the victim powerless. Some can hijack a soul from afar, killing the target and turning them into a puppet under their control. Certain mid-sequence Beyonders can perceive the sins of others and deliver immediate punishment tailored to their crimes. Others can fire cosmic rays that are said to travel at the speed of light itself. Sequence 4 and 3 are the beginning of the high sequences, specifically called demigod saints, where Beyonders get immensely strong to a point where conventional means are not enough to stop them because of their crazy abilities. Some of these people are able to birth literal gods, exert minor influence over entire planets, derive power from the motion of stars and star clusters, shoots certain death rays, which will instantly kill anyone it touches. Certain demigods can spiritually parasitize your soul. Others wield the power to manipulate matter, trigger nuclear fission at will. A few can summon legendary figures or artifacts from history to fight for them or tap into the strength of their former selves. At this stage, merely laying eyes on a sequence 4 or 3 Beyonder could make you drop dead, lose control, or transform into a writhing, mindless mass of flesh. And above that, Beyonders step into an entirely different category, a stage that hovers between the very boundary of humanity and divinity, shedding the limitations of their mortal shells, and becoming, well, different. A sequence 2 and 1 Beyonder are angelic demigods capable of exerting authority on a much more conceptual level. They become full-blown mythical beings, an aspect which is much more divine than it is human, allowing them to fully embody the meaning of their divine authority. Some of them are capable of directly grafting concepts onto themselves, manipulating both space and time, personally orchestrating events by bending the laws of reality in their favor, embodying the very idea of corruption. And it doesn't even stop there. Order and chaos, life and death, light and darkness, space and time. Sequence 1 and 2 demigods break through the very idea of normalcy, as their authorities and attributes showcase the very might of their divine nature, a characteristic which puts them at the very pinnacle of the power system. Now, I'm sure you might be wondering, how do these Beyonders even ascend up the levels of power? And how do they move from one sequence to the other? Well, the answer to this question lies in the acting method, as it is as fundamental to the Beyonder stability and advancement as the very potions which grant them their abilities in the first place. The acting method is a significant principle which stipulates the Beyonder to act according to the sequence name in order to fully digest the potion and avoid the risk of losing control. Let's once again take the name of Klein's sequence 9 potion, Seer, as an example. Applying the acting method to this simply means that he would be expected to act accordingly to the principles of a diviner, fully adjusting himself to the role, while maintaining a certain level of individuality. Likewise, Leonard's sequence 8, Midnight Poet, would see him having to act in the romantic disposition of a poet, writing and composing poems which stir up the feelings and emotions of the receiver, which he ironically is shown not to be very good at. As long as a Beyonder is able to correctly identify the core meaning behind a sequence's official name, they will then be able to draft up the principles that directly applies to it, thus aiding them in efficiently going along with the stipulated acting method and furthering their advancement. Furthermore, tied into the acting method are Beyonder potions, a consumable which grants otherwise normal people the chance to step into the path of divine. If the acting method focuses on how a Beyonder should act, then the Beyonder potion simply answers the following question of how a Beyonder is made. This is a step which is regarded as the most basic when advancing through the sequences. The potions are made by following a step-by-step detailed formula documenting the ratio and volume of ingredients to be used in its corresponding order. I have to reiterate and state that the volume and the weight of the combined ingredients must absolutely be in their correct order, as any slight mishap carries the detrimental risk of losing control, a fate every Beyonder strives to avoid. If you know how chemicals are combined in basic chemistry, potion formulas work kind of the same way, just with ingredients that are more on the abnormal side. And if you're wondering what these so-called ingredients are, well, they are made up of major and minor elements, with the former and most important being something commonly referred to as Beyonder characteristics, while the latter are a series of supplementary ingredients ranging from the hide of rabid mutated wolves to maybe something even as uncharacteristically simple as the shavings off a coral stone, with the commonality being that they all must be mystical in nature. Moving away from that, it's about time I touch on yet another important aspect of a Beyonder, as successfully consuming the potion is not regarded as the end-all, be-all in the Lord of the Mysteries universe. Most of the supernatural skills and abilities associated with becoming a Beyonder cannot be used rashly, as ascension through the sequences comes with a specific limiting factor, most prominent at the low to mid sequences, but present at every stage nonetheless. The usage of these proficiencies comes at the expense of the depletion of something known as spirituality, a mechanic as important to the power system as the potions themselves. Spirituality is solely responsible for the fueling of the mystical, mind-blowing abilities shown throughout the entire series, as a Beyonder who is lacking in spirituality is reduced to nothing more than an averagely powerful superhuman, especially at sequences 9 and 8, because they won't be able to showcase the skill sets they are most notably known for to a high degree. Spirituality itself leaks into the physical world from an abstract, higher metaphysical realm known as the spirit world, existing as an individual extension of itself, while bonding with Beyonders, which explains why it houses such vastly arcane properties, capable of stimulating the otherworldly changes brought about by the consumption of a potion. It cannot be seen or interacted with by regular mundane means, as the only way to directly connect to spirituality is for the subject to either have supernatural properties themselves, or to go through a third-party medium capable of aiding them in forging the connection. This third-party medium may come in the form of an object with a mystical history and background, or in some cases a Beyonder, one who aids others in communicating with spirituality on their behalf. Spirituality exists in almost every aspect of life within the universe, while also being an integral factor to becoming a Beyonder. Now, what happens if you're a Beyonder whose path specializes in one type of domain, but you want to use abilities that are completely different? Let's say a Beyonder of the Spectator pathway, for example. This pathway is well known for its observational and intellectual capabilities. But what if this Beyonder wants to acquire more direct and offensive skills, similar in nature to, let's say, the Hunter or the Twilight Giant pathways? How would he or she go about it? Since most Beyonder paths aren't good at everything like a few rare ones, people naturally look for other ways to gain power, like using Beyonder weapons and sealed artifacts. These are items imbued with Beyonder powers, either naturally or made by someone, and most need to be handled carefully. The main determinant for if a mystical item would be classified as either a Beyonder weapon or a sealed artifact lies in its inherent stability, as the more dangerous an item is, the more urgent the need for sealing and safe management. Now, there's a lot more details about how sealed artifacts and Beyonder items are made, but explaining it would get into major story points that new fans of the anime don't need to worry about yet. Everything that I've explained so far in this video are the basics of the sequence and potion power system in Lord of the Mysteries, without going too deep into the details. I hope this helped clear up some of the confusion from the limited info in the donghua and gave you a better idea of what to expect as the story goes on. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.